Ethiopia is planning to launch its first security exchange by the name of Ethiopian Capital Market Authority. Now, what is the plan with this, and when can we expect the launch of this authority?
Thank you so much, Groom, for having me. So the Ethiopian Capital Market Authority has been established as an authority to regulate the securities market in Ethiopia just a little bit of a year ago. Since then, we've been working on trying to establish the authority and be ready to provide license to market intermediaries, investment banks, securities brokers, and others. And the most exciting part for us is we're seeing many government-owned and private companies interested to raise capital using the capital market infrastructure. As we speak, we are preparing the 10% public offering of Ethio Telecom.
Talking of privatization, what is the plan in order to introduce more publicly owned enterprises of Ethiopia so that the public and also international companies can own them partially or perhaps fully too?
As we speak, we have announced that the Ethiopian government will partially privatize Ethio Telecom, the sugar estates, and other government-owned enterprises. That's a work that's currently being done by the Ethiopian Investment Holding and the Ministry of Finance. When it comes to the Capital Market Authority, we are the enablers or an alternative for the government to look at different ways to privatize this government-owned enterprises.
I understand that the Ethiopian Ministry of Justice has authorized your authority in order to give out investment license for international banks, for example, to invest in this country. Where are we now with that, and what's the next step?
So the Capital Market Service Provider Directive has been registered with the Ministry of Justice. That permits us to start the process of issuing a license to investment banks. This would be the first time in Ethiopia where we are authorized to issue a license to both domestic and foreign investment banks to operate in the Ethiopian capital market ecosystem. As of now, we don't have any investment banks, but we're very much excited to see international players, regional players showing interest.
You know, banks, for example, from across Africa, Kenyan banks, South African, Nigerian banks are interested, in involving in Ethiopia's, multi-billion-dollar economy with 120 million people in it. This must be a lucrative market too. But what will be the minimum requirements for these banks to come into the country and start investing?
So we rely mainly on a very limited amount of capital requirement, but the most important requirement for us is experience and a know-how. So if these institutions are licensed in their home base and can provide a letter of good standing, then that's actually a very important first step for them to enter the Ethiopian market.
There are macroeconomic related challenges in the Ethiopian economy. The conflict in the north, of course, before that COVID-19, and also policy-related challenges. How do you see this, and what are really the plans in order to tackle any future problems that you might be facing because of these things?
Look, the macro situation of our country is very clear. We went through a very difficult and challenging time in the past 5 years, but one has to look at where is the Ethiopian economy now compared to other comparable economies in the world. But at the same time, if these challenges were not surmounted, we managed to double our GDP in the last 5 years. We managed to decrease our debt burden. We doubled our per capita income. This is during a very difficult conflict that was happening in our country. This is during COVID. This is during a very difficult geopolitical conflict that's currently going on in the world. So even despite all these difficulties, you see the Ethiopian economy sustaining its growth trajectory. This tells you one fundamental truth, that the depth of the Ethiopian economy, the strength of the Ethiopian economy is something that will sustain, and it's because it relies on real performance of the key sectors.